Hey guys, so welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Let's carry on where we left off. Sherlock Holmes has just completed his latest dance of deduction. Judges gave it about a 5 out of 10. Too many errors in his judgment, so we're going to need to step in and help out. Though this pawnbrokery is quite cramped, we're going to need to watch where we're dancing. So, let's go ahead and help a brother out. And if it's such a big secret, how would Mr. Benedict have come to find out about it? Of course, we're talking about the bank vault across the road and how much funds are inside, helping to construct the Crystal Tower. There can be one explanation for that. Clearly it is because the man is a criminal. Right, well, I do have my suspicions about that. He does certainly seem quite shady. Same with Miss Lestrade. They're both after this particular coat and the disc that's held within one of its pockets. Certainly seems quite valuable, and we have to wonder how they came about knowing what was inside that jacket. Who told them?
But what if he didn't know anything about the money in the vault? If he is a criminal, as you said, then buying a brand new shovel is sure to be the first thing he does now that you've revealed the secret.
Susato does have a point. We've kind of divulged some classified information that could certainly aid a criminal enterprise. Oh, you're actually acknowledging you made a mistake, Mr. Sholmes. Or if he doesn't, maybe Mr. Windibank will. He already has plenty of shovels here, after all. Not to mention he owns the place. He could easily just put a closed sign out front and get to work right away. Oh my life! I assure you I'm not so unscrupulous.
Well, hopefully this has taught you a valuable lesson.
Yes, it has. Thank you for putting your credibility on the line, Mr. Sholmes.
Sensitive information must be handled with the utmost of care. One can never be sure that someone privy to secrets won't disclose them. And once the word is out, it's out.
Okay, so are we going to try and convince them not to, spread the rumor? Which is a true rumor, by the way. Perhaps I'll think twice before confiding in you next time, Mr. Sholmes.
An excellent idea, Mr. Naruhodo. An excellent idea.
Yeah, well, I mean, Pandora's box is already open. What are we going to do? We need to lock these guys up until the Crystal Tower is complete.
Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, you know what to do, I'm sure.
It's time to tango. Yes, let's listen to that great deduction again and see if we can massage it into shape. That lumpy-ass explanation of yours, Mr. Sholmes.
Very well then. Let us start once more from the beginning. Of Sherlock Holmes' magnificent logic and reasoning spectacular.
You're going to have to append my name to that eventually. It's time for a course correction. Here we go. Mystery Man's aim to tunnel underneath the pawnbrokery. Not quite 100% accurate.
First of all, we must ask ourselves on what business you ventured into this pawnbrokery today. You claim to have followed this pickpocket here, having had the redemption ticket stolen from you on the street. But that is most certainly a lie. The real truth is something quite different. As revealed by that which you hold in your hand. Yes, what brought you to the shop in the first place is the staff recruitment flyer.
Like, why was he holding this the entire time he was here? So, by Mr. Sholmes' reasoning, Mr. Benedict came here in order to apply for a job so he could dig down through the floor.
Yes, in an attempt to tunnel into the sewers to gain access to the money in the vault of the bank across the road.
Whew, that's a mouthful.
But he wouldn't get very far with a broken shovel, would he?
Not to mention a shovel in general, right? No, I think it's fair to say his motives lie elsewhere. The question is, where? What did bring Mr. Benedict here at this particular point in time? Look what we've got here. It's a picture of Miss Lestrade in a letter of sorts, or notes perhaps. Let's examine it first before we present it, in case there is an update.
Oh, look at all the scribbled notes in the back of the flyer here.
I don't believe it.
What is it?
Listen to what it says. Name, Gina Lestrade. Height, 5'2". Green cap, scruffy waistcoat, grubby white shirt, blue satchel, ragged. That's quite a detailed description. It's a detailed description of Miss Lestrade.
Goodness.
There's even a sketch of her, hat and all. Although, if he showed it to her, she'd fire that smoke grenade launcher in his face for sure. And then disappear, but probably making sure he suffocates in it first.
And look, the details of the shop have been written down here too. Windibank's Pawnbrokery, Baker Street. Redemption deadline 15th of April.
Which is today's date. Why would Mr. Benedict have all that information scrawled on the back of that piece of paper? Interesting, so what can we glean from this? That Mr. Benedict is not a mastermind of sorts? There's some sort of bounty on Miss Lestrade, and he's following instructions. I don't think he took these notes himself. So who's asking him to come after her? So he's obviously got information about the coat itself, because he has the redemption deadline, and he has information about Miss Lestrade. So whoever wrote this knew that she was going to try and redeem it, but why? Interesting. There we go. Info about Miss Lestrade. The information has been updated. Now we can present it. Good thing we examined it. What brought him into the shop in the first place is the scribbled writing doesn't have the same ring to it. Yes, what brought you to the shop in the first place is the info about Miss Lestrade. Is she worth money or something?
Quite so, my dear fellow. It would appear that the writing and sketch on the reverse of the flyer pertain to the pickpocket Miss Lestrade and to Mr. Windibagg's pawnbrokery here.
You originally told us that you had merely given chase after Miss Lestrade stole the redemption ticket from you.
But that, sir, is a thinly veiled lie.
What happened? As soon as she stole it from you, you started scribbling how she looked and her appearance on top of the notes that you already had for the pawnbrokery?
It is the information on the back of the flyer that led you here today.
By which I mean here to Windibagg's pawnbrokery, and today the redemption deadline of that overcoat.
So, you waited outside for the young girl matching the description you have written down to arrive.
And then you thought you'd snag the coat for yourself.
And you have gone to some lengths to hide the reasoning for your pursuit of Mr. Lestrade.
In other words, there is some ulterior motive for your actions.
The cane, which you unwittingly clutched to your person, exhibits an incontrovertible contradiction. Sorry for the sneeze.
What utter rot! I've had this cane for years.
The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the missing ferrule.
We'll ignore the initials, I guess. What's a ferrule?
It's the metal cap commonly found on the end of a cane, Mr. Naruhodo.
Ah, the bit that makes a nice clacking sound on the pavement.
Yes, exactly. And Mr. Sholmes is right. It appears to be missing on this cane.
So he's like a stealthy ninja. We can't hear him coming. But it doesn't actually look broken, does it?
No, it doesn't. Though the gentleman certainly did recoil when Mr. Sholmes identified the cane as suspicious.
Is it a, has it got a hidden blade of some kind? If it's missing a ferrule, it probably, like, slides out or something, right? In other words, there's some secret about the cane that Mr. Benedict would rather we don't know. Let's have a look. We've seen suspicious canes before, especially when it's held by a Miss Donham. There's not a lot to examine here. It's either the missing ferrule or the initialing, so let's just look at the initialing. AG. Look here, Mr. Sato. There's some letters on the handle.
Ah, yes. This must be initials, I think. In the West, it's customary for people to engrave their belongings with the first letters of their names.
So Herlock Sholmes would be HS, you mean?
That's right. And the initials on this cane, obviously. Oh.
AG? I don't see any B there. Why does it feel as though that's not quite right? I mean, while we're at it, let's just have a look at this stylish hat. Anything suspicious about it? As stylish as it no doubt is, I don't think this white top hat suits the man, no? Is there a rat underneath controlling his actions? Is the rat the one that wrote those notes?
No, not at all.
The more I look at it, the more something strikes me as suspicious about it. Maybe he's hiding his very big brain.
I think perhaps it's not so much that it strikes you as suspicious, but rather that the hat is just striking.
I suppose you're probably right. Perhaps the hat isn't what we're looking for. Alright, let's present the initialing.
Take that!
There we are. Simple enough. It was too simple that I was suspicious. The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the initialing.
A most astute observation, wouldn't you say, Mr. Eggert Benedict?
That's right. Eggert is his first name, so EB? No.
We are led to believe, sir, that your initials are EB. Yet in a most possessive manner, you have in your grasp a cane bearing the initials AG.
Unless you're trying to say that stands for something like a god, which is quite vain, I must say.
An incontrovertible contradiction indeed. Would you not agree? No, you're wrong. This cane isn't.
You said before that you'd had the cane for years. So don't try to tell us that you just borrowed it from a friend or found it in the park.
In short, You're a fucking liar. Though you hold yourself to be a gentleman, you have withheld your true name. Oh, what was that? Did you just tear something in your pants? You recoil, sir. Is something wrong? And in your recoiling, you inadvertently facilitate the answer of the next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what is the truth behind this rod you bear? Yes, your reaction betrays the truth. The handle, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see? So not the handle. Let's consider the bare bones of what's happened here. Miss Lestrade redeemed that fine-looking overcoat. Is it fine? I guess it just doesn't look fine because it doesn't match what Mr. Benedict is wearing right now. And now a mysterious man has appeared, introducing himself with a fake name, and claiming that the overcoat belongs to him.
But we know that he actually identified Miss Lestrade from a written description, which says that everything else he's told us is untrue.
So what we need to do here is uncover what is true about this man, and somehow prove that the overcoat cannot possibly belong to him. Okay. Well, like we said, we heard something tear. Oh, there we go. Split seam, probably because it doesn't fit. It's too tight.
Oh, the seam on the shoulder there is coming apart. Look.
So it is.
Do you know, a moment ago when Mr. Benedict was surprised by something that was said, I thought I heard him make a rather strange noise. It sounded a bit like a tiny growl.
I told you there's a rat underneath his hat.
But now I think it was probably the sound of the seam ripping open.
If you look closely, it does seem to be a very tight fit. The sleeves are stretched to bursting, and he wouldn't have a hope of fastening it at the front. If you were to run around it, and I'm sure the whole thing would fall apart. Maybe we should give chase.
That I'd like to see.
You'd like to see his clothes come off, huh? Geez, Susato, sorry.
So how can we make Mr. Benedict run around?
She's really giving this some thought. No, we're not making him run around. Gosh, we don't have a hamster wheel or anything lying around. I guess we just present it. No updates here.
Take that!
Here we are. The split seam is the key to understanding this riddle. The split seam, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see. Yes, because the overcoat is rather obviously a poor fit. Having forced it over your broad shoulders, which is a compliment, by the way, the seam is already breaking apart. My suspicions were aroused from the outset. Aroused, huh? Why is everyone aroused by this man? When you so boldly lied about your name and so boldly waylaid this pickpocket. Ah! This catalogue of untruths has all been for one very specific purpose. To steal the article that the young girl redeemed from Mr. Winterbank. Ah! Whoa. Quite the twirl, sorry. Be careful, you might break something, and you'll have to pay for it. But what really irks me is this. The considerable crime I initially imagined has been considerably curtailed. Yep, nothing quite as elaborate as breaking into a bank. It's to abscond with a redeemed item. Right. Number 2, great crime, to steal the great exhibition's reserve funds. Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue. For we must expose the details of this elaborate crime you have in the planning. This is utterly absurd. You suggest that I, a gentleman, designed a wheeze to fit some tawdry article of portage. Okay, now I know you're lying. You're starting to throw all these complicated words at me. Have you forgotten that I redeemed the article in the proper manner using the watchword? Oh no, now he's trying to hypnotize us. Had I not been the one to deposit it in the first place? How could I possibly have known the relevant details? N'est-ce pas? N'est-ce pas? I believe. I don't speak French. Now he's throwing French at me, trying to lead me off the trail. Oh, but the watchword can be discovered. As you are only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. Oh? Ah, and your furtive glance is more telling than I could have hoped. What? Let us consider how one might come to learn a secret watchword relating to the pawned property of another. The method is revealed by the council notice on the counter to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. Yes, the council notice, of course. It's funny how, once we solve the first topic and we move on to the second, all the details should be revised. And it just doesn't make sense.
The direction of the deduction must change rather dramatically now, I think.
Yes, no more talk of tunneling into the sewers. Which is a pity, because it all sounded rather exciting. It did. Anyway, can't deny that this mysterious gentleman did know the watchword.
Yes, Professor. If you didn't know that word, Mr. Winterbank would never allow you to redeem the article.
Or, looking at it another way, if you did know that word, Mr. Winterbank would allow you to redeem the article whether it was yours or not. So the question is, could this gentleman have found the watchword out somehow? Obviously, we have to take a look at the notelet here. What's on it? Look at this, Miss Usato.
Ah, it appears to be a memo that Mr. Winterbank has scribbled to himself.
Let's see. What does it say? Oh! Professor! Oh, just the word professor? There's a lot more words on there than I can see. Mr. Winterbank must make note of the watchwords his customers give him right before their eyes. And an alarmingly clear script as well. That's... Okay, first we need... I feel like we need to know when he wrote this, though. If Mr. Benedict said, the watchword is professor, and then he wrote it down to, like, go and compare or something, then this would not fly.
Oh dear, I don't know where to look. Who knows what other secrets I might see?
Mr. Winterbank, I feel like you definitely need an audit of some kind.
Take that!
We need to talk about your security procedures and verification order. The method is revealed by the notelet on the counter to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. Yes, the broker here follows the same procedure whenever a customer comes to redeem an article. He asks the customer for the watchword and notes down the response uttered on a notelet he has to hand. Then he consults his ledger and confirms whether or not the watchword matches that of the article in question. I would expect nothing less of a diligent pawnbroker. But his diligence clearly has its disadvantages. What are you talking about? It is increasingly apparent that you were present in this shop before your accusation against Mr. Strahd. Ah. When she first deposited it, I guess. In all likelihood, you followed her inside and then observed her talking to Mr. Winterbank. Oh, sorry. When the diligent broker made a note of the watchword, as is his common practice, he observed him writing the word professor on the notelet beside the ledger. Sorry, when she came to claim it. And that, sir, was the master plan you devised to steal the pawned article from the young Miss Lestrade. Master plan? Well, you seem offended. Which brings us at last to the final chapter of this lurid scheme. Why would you go to such lengths to redeem that particular article from this pawnbroker? Are you quite serious? Very. For an ill-fitting overcoat hardly seems to justify the effort, much less a worthless music box disc. I don't know about worthless, but naturally. You had very good reason to make them yours, didn't you, Mr. Benedict? I have no idea what you're talking about. Allow me to present a rather interesting piece of evidence. You see, this picture postcard tells us all we need to know. Crystal Tower. The articles we're talking about are the overcoat and the music box disc that was in one of the pockets, which according to Mr. Winterbank isn't even worth a penny. Oh, sorry, that was Sato talking. And yet this man went to such lengths to steal them. Why?
I wonder if perhaps we already have the evidence we need to explain it, Mr. Naruhodo.
Could we? Really? I'd better have a thorough look through all the evidence we've collected so far. All the evidence we've collected so far? Just the one. Music box disc with some blood on it. Let's examine it first. Look at all the little bumps on the disc. They're so tiny.
Yes, the protrusions are called pins, and they pluck the teeth of the comb to make notes. And just on the edge, there's a small amount of blood.
Yes, the blood of the mysterious Mr. Eggert Benedict.
When Miss Lestrade tried to grab the disc from him, the pin scratched his fingers, it seems. Like when you're grating some daikon radish and accidentally cut your finger.
Ouch! Just thinking about it hurts. Puts me off eating radish. Okay. Can we be sure that's when the blood got on it? I don't think so. Or it could, actually. For McGilded. Uh-oh. I had to wonder when he was coming back into this.
Oh, this little scrap of paper stuck onto the reverse side of the disc, look. And a scribbled word or two. It looks like somebody's name.
A name we're familiar with.
For McGilded?
McGilded? It couldn't be. That short Irishman?
But it is, Mr. Naruhodo. A name I shall never forget for as long as I live.
But why? Why is his name on this? The music box disc's information has been updated in the court record. I should have looked at it before. On the reverse side is a note that reads, "For McGilded." Let's go ahead and present the evidence.
Take that!
Right. You see, this music box disc tells us all we need to know. What's that? On the back? It reads, "For McGilded." Ugh! Him. Ah, Mr. Magnus McGilded. The unfortunate philanthropist who perished in curious circumstances at the Old Bailey 2 months ago. Now I'm starting to wonder if he actually died. What if he faked his death? We didn't see who was in the carriage, did we? What if he can't claim this disc himself, so he's sent a subordinate of some kind? He did seem rather evil. And he was quite sure he would get out of the case, no? A prominent man in London, though his lone mongering demonstrated a distinct lack of scruples. So, you're an associate of his, are you? Or perhaps a subordinate? Ah, there we go. Subordinate. Could be an associate as well. Mr. McGilded was a man of unusually small stature. In fact, he was precisely the right size for that overcoat that you've squeezed yourself into. I don't know, he was really short. If we look at that coat on Mr. Benedict right now, sure, it looks like a tight fit, but look how long the coat is. I'm pretty sure he'd be dragging it across the snow. Ugh. Your true identity remains shrouded in mystery, Mr. Eggert Benedict. Perhaps you're the real Mr. McGilded. No, you're not. Surely you're not. Otherwise you would have claimed this thing on your own. But the final conclusion here is crystal clear. The reason you came to this pawnbrokery today... There we are. Was to retrieve an article left behind by the late Magnus McGilded. Ah! Careful, don't spin any more. That coat will fall to pieces and Miss Usato will be having her ugly eyes directed in your direction. To acquire an item deposited by Mr. McGilded. Solved. Deduction complete. Elementary. Alright, so, Mr. McGilded, is he really dead? Because... No, sorry, I was about to say, like, why take 2 months to come and claim this item? Well, well, Mr. Magnus McGilded. Not a name I expected to hear in these circumstances.
Mr. Sholmes, I'm afraid there's something very troubling on my mind.
Pray tell, Miss Usato.
Well, according to what Mr. Winterbank told us earlier, today was the final day on which the coat could have been redeemed, was it not?
Yes, ma'am, that is correct. Today would be precisely 2 months since it was first deposited. Well, today is the 15th of April, so 2 months ago today was almost Valentine's Day. Would have been 15th February, sir. That's right. It's all carefully recorded on my ledger. Deposited at 10:30 p.m., I see. What? But that suggests...
Yes, 15th of February. It's precisely the day on which the omnibus murder took place.
So it was deposited after the carriage was burned.
And 10:30 in the evening. It's precisely the time at which the terrible events were unfolding.
Oh. At the same time? Whoa. That's kind of creepy. Suggestive is not the word. It would seem the matter is entirely beyond coincidence. I don't know. There are a lot of coincidences in this game, Mr. Sholmes. You are, of course, at liberty to make whatever outlandish deductions you choose, however. I must be taking my leave now. Oh, God! I must insist you hand over the music box disc now. It would be a terrible shame for you to return to your native land in a box. What do I do? Hand over the disc, start with your life, man. I've got no choice. You could shoot me at any moment. Sato's here, Herlock's here. I hate to give in, but what other choice do I really have here? we're just a lawyer, man. We're not Yakuza or anything. Oh. Mr. Winneback, I knew at least Mr. Winneback could intervene. He's got a gun. Just don't shoot yourself, please. This is my shop. I can't allow any harm to come to my customers. If that were to happen, I should have to take my own life. Mr. Winneback, no! Aim the gun at him!
Alright, that's enough.
Oh. Inspector Gregson, where'd you come from? Why are you here? Inspector Gregson!
Inspector?
That's right, Sunshine. The alarm was raised on one of our dedicated emergency lines. So we got here as fast as we could. Now, what's all this about, eh? Oh, praise be. You're here at last. I was moments away from forfeiting my own life and my own establishment. Put the gun down, Eggert Benedict.
It would seem you have the upper hand.
Sure we do. Okay, coat's gone. Right, you lot have got some explaining to do. I don't appreciate being bothered with some petty argy-bargy.
Petty?
What? You having your breakfast of fries?
Mr. Winneback very nearly met with his end.
Okay, what about me? I almost caught a bullet too. Yeah, by his own gun as far as I can tell.
Oh dear.
And the whole of Britain could meet with its end if I don't get to the bottom of the case I'm supposed to be working on. What? What on earth is the case, Inspector? Spare no detail, Gregson. I might have said a little too much. No matter, it's nothing to do with you lot. A lot of people say a lot of things today. Anyway, sir, you're going to have to come with me down to the station. Oh god, now I'm hungry for fries. But of course, Inspector. Oh! He's getting away! Go after him, lads! Whistle the beat officer too! Sir! Too bad he's not wearing his coat. Mr. Sato would have loved to see that. Okay, you're just gonna stand here eating your breakfast, Inspector? There's been a spate of thefts of pawn shops around here recently. So we fitted emergency buttons underneath the counters for brokers to let us know when there's trouble. Ah, silent alarm.
Oh, Inspector.
I was very worried there for a while. Very worried indeed. Now then, Mr. Permanently in Morden. Oh. Yes, I take it you're talking to me because of my clothes? I'll be taking that, whatever it is, of McGildered's down to the yard, thank you very much. So hand it over. Oh, yes, of course. At least you're asking somewhat nicely. You're aiming your fries at me rather than a gun.
No, don't! Don't give it to him! It's mine, that is, mine!
I'm sorry, miss. But anything belonging to McGilded has to be taken in as evidence now.
As evidence?
If the police demand something as evidence, my dear fellow, we have no choice but to capitulate. It's all yours, Inspector.
Why were you after it?
Gina? And so, we handed Mr. McGilded's disc over to Inspector Gregson, and were summarily turfed out of the shop and onto the street. Homeless. Not really. It's still the 15th of April, and it's still Baker Street.
See? That's why I hate grown-ups.
Well, at least she's wearing the coat.
All they do is feed you a pack of lies and take stuff away from you.
Oh, really, Miss Lestrade? Tell me, is that overcoat keeping you warm?
What? Oh my, surely you were given that? Yeah, the dean let me keep it, after I looked daggers at him for long enough. He went through the pockets and then said, "Go on then, have it," before telling me to scarper. Always pays off, giving people a look that you like you ate them.
Ate him or hate him? I can't help feeling that it's going to get you in serious trouble one day.
What I really wanted was that nice shiny disc, mine. The music box disc.
How did you come to find out about it? But Mr. Winterbank said it was practically worthless.
I think I'm going to go and have another bash. Give him a long, hard stare.
I think not, Mr. Strad. We shan't enter Winterbanks again today.
Why not? That's not fair.
Can't be helped, I'm afraid. The police are investigating the scene now, and taking a statement from Mr. Winterbank.
But that disc is mine. I had the ticket for this coat, and it was in this coat's pocket. And there should be something else and all. That's what that rotten cove said, ain't it?
Yes, he did mention something about another article, didn't he? But why wait until now to try and claim the coat, right? You had 2 months to do so. And even if you couldn't claim it, you could just wait until Mr. Winnemang puts it up for sale and then buy it. Which, I mean, you know, appears to be worthless, the disc and the coat itself, so it wouldn't have fetched a very high price. You just have to wait on the 16th of April outside, and then barge in as soon as the doors open.
Well then, that's mine too, whatever that is.
Now she's really pushing her luck. Mr. Strahd, I think it's time to admit defeat. You've had your haul for the day.
Yeah, it's all your fault, Sholmes.
So what are your plans now? Will you dine with us this evening?
Eh?
Just like that. Iris would be delighted to cook, I'm sure. And I might entertain you with a modest violin recital. Hopefully it's better than the one that went this morning.
No, Tar.
Oh.
Why would I come round to your place, eh? Have you lost your head or something?
Oh, she's gone.
Oh dear, she's gone.
Having reviled on me quite unnecessarily, I might add. I can't help wondering if perhaps she might turn up anyway. Interesting. Once she's had a chance to calm down, I think there's a good chance she'll decide to come. She seems to be close with Iris, at least. Very well, then. I'll inform Iris to set a place for our potential guest at the dinner table this evening. If she doesn't appear, well, more for me. And one more thing. I should be glad of your company later, too. Sorry? I believe I will have a rather splendid surprise to show you.
Oh, how exciting. What is it?
Please tell me. You shall have to wait and see, Mr. Susato. Until later, then. Okay. Did you just take Susato with you? You both disappeared. Damn it. When is it time to examine that damn telegram? I'm so curious. Okay, I'll be back. Let's go downstairs to Sholmes' suite, now that I've had a chance to change my clothes into yet another black garb. 15th of April, 3:46 p.m. Sholmes' suite.
Ah, Susie and Reno. Come in, come in.
Good afternoon, Iris.
Thank you so much for breakfast this morning.
Can I have mine heated up, please? I didn't get to finish it.
Oh, don't mention it. Goodness, look at the time already.
Busy as always?
I am. I'm preparing everything for dinner this evening.
Already? You're obviously cooking something special, are you? Obviously, are you? If it was obvious, Ryunosuke, we wouldn't have to ask.
Oh yes, after all we have a special guest joining us. Guess who it is? Go on. You'll never guess.
Uh-oh, now I'm scared I got her hopes up. What if she doesn't turn up? The Easter Bunny? It's April. 15th of April. Good Friday. Look at those little eyes of hers shining.
Oh dear. This is awkward when you already know the answer, isn't it?
No. When it's kids and they ask you to guess something, usually you're supposed to say, what, I don't know. I've no idea. I'm clueless. I'm ignorant.
It's Ginny. Isn't that exciting? Oh, what a surprise. Oh, yes, that's wonderful news. Wow.
Wow, Iris seems overjoyed at the idea. And Susato is bad at acting. Although I just slotted that in. It wasn't indicated in the text box whatsoever.
Can't wait to learn some pickpocketing tips from a real professional.
How about you learn some lawyer tips from me and so you can stay on the legal side of it? Oh yes, that does sound like fun.
I'm not sure that's entirely appropriate. Are you, Mr. Naruhodo?
By the way, Iris, what's Mr. Sholmes up to? Maybe you can learn some deductive skills. Oh wait, no, you're already better at him than that. At that.
Hurley? Oh, he's been like that ever since he got back.
Hello, Mr. Sholmes. I beg that you won't speak to me. Sorry? Wow, okay. That was pretty curt. I don't know who you are, but kindly take your leave. As you can see, I'm not here. I don't know how to respond to that. He's quite clearly there.
I do apologise. When he gets like this, he's completely oblivious to everything.
Yes, I see.
Really, he behaves just like a child sometimes, Hurley does.
You don't say. Mr. Sholmes and Iris
Have something of a parent and child relationship, don't they?
Yes, except that Iris is clearly the parent here. Come to think of it, I wonder where her real parents are. I wonder if we met her dad already. Incidentally.
What's the matter, Runo? You have ever such a funny look on your face.
Oh, no, it's nothing.
I know what it is. Why does this girl live here with Mr. Sholmes, you're wondering? Am I right?
She's the deductive queen. How? How did you know?
Oh, Runo, I can read you like a book.
Ugh, this girl is dangerous. And she wants to learn to pickpocket? Oh my god. She'll be a threat to all of the citizens in London.
Don't worry, you can ask me anything, I won't mind.
Okay, well, I'll take you up on that offer. Ginny. Who is Ginny? So by Ginny, you mean Lystra Straw, the young woman from the McGilded case 2 months ago, right?
Yes, who also stole my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Although, after that trial, I invited her back here and we had dinner together. And now we're the best of friends. Oh, what a lovely tale.
That's quite nice.
Yes, now if I bump into her on the street, she runs away as fast as she can.
Oh. Yes, I see. You're very tight-knit. Oh, I don't normally run away from my best friend. Just saying.
But I chase after her, down the back alleys.
Interesting idea of friendship. I mean, you know, I suppose it could work.
And then I'll let her have the latest colour of smoke grenade I've developed.
Oh.
There's so many beautiful colours in the world. Ginny wants me to make a whole rainbow.
I suppose this means you've let Miss Lestrade keep the smoke grenade launcher, have you? Well, yeah, she aimed it at us again today, didn't she?
Yes, that's right. I got bored of it anyway. Hurley always reacts the same way when I shoot him with it now.
Poor Hurley. He probably could use a smoke grenade right now so he can disappear.
Oh, I can't wait for Ginny to arrive. It's been too long since she last came over. I'm so excited.
I just hope she does actually come, otherwise I've let a lot of people down. Living with Sholmes.
I'm sure you've been wondering why it is that I live here with Hurley, haven't you?
Well, it has crossed my mind. That and where are your real parents? Uh-oh, serious face.
My mummy and daddy aren't with me anymore. Mummy passed away when I was born. And at around the same time, my father... Well, he had to go to a faraway land because of one of the cases he and Hurley were working on.
Oh. Wait a minute. Did you say he and Hurley?
Yes. Daddy and Hurley were always solving mysterious cases together.
She didn't mention that before.
He wrote them all up in his diaries. That's what's in the metal chest over there.
Really? He recorded them all?
So, you mean it's true, Mr. Sholmes? Really did have a partner with whom he tackled some of his most taxing cases. Oh yes. I mean, it's always nice to have one, isn't it?
So Mr. Sholmes' partner was your father?
Exactly. Hurley told me I wasn't allowed to look in the chest. But that only made me want to look even more. So I opened it up.
Oh, okay. Well, as you do.
And found your father's memoirs. Yes. So I asked Hurley, who wrote these? He nearly fell off his chair. But then he told me. That's when I found out about the author of all those accounts. It was my father.
And so, you've taken his position as biographer. So Iris's father was Mr. Sholmes' partner. Iris's father. Let's find out. For certain now.
I practically lived with Hurley all my life. I was tiny when he took me in. So, it came as quite a shock. When Hurley told me he wasn't really my daddy, I mean.
Must have done.
I wonder why Mr. Sholmes chose to tell you. At such a young age. Hurley says it's because he wouldn't have been able to hide it from me.
Yeah, I mean, not a lot gets past you. You're very observant, like me, although probably a little bit better.
Oh. Well, having lived with Hurley all these years, you might say that his ways have rubbed off on me. There's some things I can just see.
I suppose, you know, developing this talent from a young age, she'll be a lot better at it, right? Because our brains are surprisingly adept at picking up new skills, new languages when we're young. We're like a sponge.
Especially lies. I almost know when people are lying before they open their mouths sometimes.
Right.
Anyway, I was so fascinated when I read Daddy's diaries. That's what inspired me to write The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, actually. I'd always assumed Mr. Sholmes simply told you all those thrilling stories. Oh no, Hurley's hopeless like that. He forgets everything. As soon as he's solved a case, it all but vanishes from his mind. Oh, I see. The other day it was so embarrassing. As usual, he totally forgot about the case he'd just solved. So the very next day, he gathered together all the people involved and proceeded to solve the case again.
Great.
It was quite a shock for everyone.
Or he was just pretending. Oh, I've forgotten everything. Let me solve this case again to show how good I am at solving cases. You can say that again.
You share your father's surname, don't you, Iris? That's right, Wilson. Daddy is Dr. John H. Wilson.
Uh-oh.
I learned from his diaries that he's a doctor of medicine, you see. That's what prompted me to study and study, so that I could earn a doctorate as well.
Iris's father went to some distant land, and is a doctor by the name of John H. Wilson. If only I got to know that man. Wait a second! The court will now hear the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I forgot the voice again. It's been so long. Kindly state before the court the name of the victim in the case. The victim's name was Dr. John H. Wilson. Oh, how panicked I looked. That's right. Visiting professor of medicine at Imperial Yume University. And the man who, in the most bizarre of circumstances, lost his life just before we left Japan. There's that word again. Coincidence. It's fate, I tell you. Mrs. Sato? Yes? Perhaps we shouldn't pursue this conversation any further at this time. I think that would be for the best. She understands too. Ah, my dear fellows! How good to see you! Wait, who's talking to me? I don't know. I was told that no one else was here other than Iris Wilson.
Hey, Mr. Sholmes.
Why ever did you not make your presence known to me before? Well, no matter now. So, how the devil are you? We've been with you for most of the day. Goodness, really?
Do tell me, Mr. Sholmes, is your violin unscathed?
My violin? Whatever are you talking about, dear madam?
Oh,
Never mind that now. I have something far more interesting to show you. Behold, my dear fellows.
Oh, another music box disc.
No, not another disc, Miss Susato. This is the one Gregson demanded we hand over as evidence. Mr. McGilded's disc. How do you have it?
Oh my.
Then, what's it doing here? You know, at times, Mr. Naruhodo, I think that though I have an undeniable turn for detection, I may well be even more adept at larceny.
Oh, that would be wonderfully exciting. I'd be a pickpocketing assistant. And Runo could be our go-to lawyer if we ever got caught.
What? I like to defend the innocent. I like to defend the people who have nowhere else to turn. Not be on standby, on call. Right.
Plus, Susie has such a beautiful handwriting. She could write all our menacing crime notifications.
Oh my god. It's like performing the Phantom Thieves, although we're going to be actual thieves.
Yes, I'd be delighted.
Mr. Sato, don't you just tell me that pickpocketing is a terrible thing to teach this child? Now you want to get involved in criminal enterprise? I'm just going to pretend this conversation never happened, I think.